Okay, this is the last race. Oh, it's not. Sorry, it's not the last race of the year. This is I believe it's the Southern California Nevada State Championships. It's at Victorville, hosted by Majestic. It's a road race. I believe it's going to be a 40-mile road race, and this is the women's Cat 4-5 field.
Unfortunately, we are not racing for a championship jersey, though. We are just out here racing. But I was excited to do another road race. My first race ever was a UCLA road race, and I really enjoyed the format and just kind of being out there on a longer circuit. So I was looking forward to this race.
Yeah, this is another tough race. It's a 6 point something mile circuit or road course. Honestly, it's a really nice layout. If the infield was, had better pavement, it'd be awesome. The infield is like incredibly beat up. Then there's a long downhill and a long climb. It was kind of tough though. What made it really tough was also the conditions. Hot with a lot of wind and decent elevation at just under 3,000 feet.
I was happy that the wind was not blowing quite as strong as it was for your race on Saturday. So Sunday the wind was blowing here and there and started to pick up towards the end of the race, but it was nothing like the day before. So I was happy to be riding in a little bit friendlier of conditions.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was brutal. That race kicked my butt. The wind was probably 20, 30 miles per hour. And it's funny, from Saturday to Sunday, the wind switched directions and was a little more calm. I mean, it's often that the wind's not as strong every day, but it's it was a little surprising that it switched directions. So on Saturday, we had an incredible headwind on the downhill where we were hardly ever even hitting over 30 miles per hour. And on the uphill, we had a beautiful tailwind, which is great for the climb. However, once we got to the top, it was an incredibly hard headwind where we just couldn't get any speed on the flat. And for this race, it's a little bit different. A tailwind going downhill and a headwind going uphill.
I'm glad you kind of brought it back to our race, because I think we already heard the commentary on your video. It's there, already uploaded to a Faster Me.
Hey, we have a different audience.
So anyway, this back to my race.
Yeah.
My race here. This first lap, I think everyone took it real cautious. It was a pretty slow pace in the infield. I think no one knew kind of what to expect. I initially kind of tried to stay outside, and then I ended up, you can't be outside on either side of the road, or maybe you can, but I'm not that skilled yet to navigate. So here I remember the steel plate is coming, and I'm on the other side of the road than I had wanted to be, so I think I will eventually get around and go to the left, but it was a real beat up road.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we have a center line rule and that the road is kind of open. It's just weird with that many hazards. It's weird, that we had center line rule, and then of course there's a kind of hazard all the way across the road.
Well, they did say you can go around the hazard to the opposite side. Just trying not to advance your position.
Yeah, there's it's kind of funny, just again comparing to the race on Saturday. Right here we were doing about 31 miles per hour come through here, and you guys are doing 21. However, as you guys turn right, I think you guys take this little hump right here faster than we were able to because of the headwind. So yeah, it's good. I think you guys have a good hot pace here, and it's going to be a competitive race.
Yeah, it's feeling good right here. And this is starting, there'll be a little bit of a downhill before the U-turn. And then that climb, though, it was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know necessarily if it was the climb or just the little bit of altitude, the dry, dusty wind, things like that, because the climb's not, it's not that hard grade-wise. or percentage wise, and you're able to start off carrying a lot of speed. But anytime you're at race pace, it makes everything hard. Any little incline becomes hard. Um, anytime you lose, the 100% benefit of the draft, even though you're going fast enough that you still have a draft benefit, but everybody has to put their own power down, and we're going to see you're going to be putting down some good power once the climb comes.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing those power numbers because it was challenging, and I think it's so funny what you compare yourself to because I like to climb, and I've thought of myself as a decent climber, but I'm usually riding with people who are bigger than myself, so it makes sense that maybe I'm climbing. I have less weight to go up the hill, but racing against women, I'm bigger than most of them, so yeah, I'd fare a little bit better on the flats and the downhill, and these ladies just fly by me climbing.
Yeah, it's all relative to who you're riding with. You've heard people say everything. I'm a sprinter, I'm a climber, I'm a this. Yeah, depending on who you're sprinting against or climbing against.
Yes.
Yeah. So the good thing is though, we're all racing, we're all out here competing, and honestly, it's just a lot of fun to get out there and compete. Even when it's on the days where it's tough and it's not so fun, there's still some satisfaction from just being out there being competitive.
For sure. I mean, honestly, I love the longer course. You get to see a little bit different conditions even within the lap. It's not like just a short crit where you're seeing the same thing over and over. Here I was trying to kind of move up because I know the advice I was given was try to get towards the front for the U-turn because the hill is typically where a lot of breaks happen, and so I was trying to move up a little bit here. But once you get out of that draft, it's not quite as easy to move up.
Yeah, and for us it was different. On this side, we were sheltered from the wind, but like I said, the wind kind of changed direction. So you guys are carrying good speed though. I think the first time you're coming through here, so not everybody's familiar with the course yet, stuff like that, but yeah, you're doing a pretty good job hanging on the wheels and, just trying to get position and staying aware of what you're trying to do here.
Yeah, so I did try to move to the outside because I think that's been something I haven't done. And this U-turn was very different than CBR. CBR was a lot more narrow. This kind of guided you. And yet we had a Rosina Ranch deja vu with people not going where the U-turn was and kind of going past the cones. Someone thought we needed to go past the car. There's a car down at the end and past the cone, so.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I don't know if this part of the road was open or not. So if it is, then I understand having the road open there. If it was closed road at this point, they should have had cones across there so you guys would know clearly which way to go. But as you see right here, a couple people are going to go straight instead of making the turn. I think for the first 2 laps. See up there's 3 riders up the road up there that missed the U-turn. So I'm guessing the road's still open at that point.
Yeah, one person did it the first and second lap. So.
I guess that answers my question since 2 cars just passed going the opposite direction. So that's one of the downfalls of just California racing. It's kind of expensive and, you can't always close roads. That's why we don't have a lot of road races to begin with. It's a lot of terrain that needs to be, getting a permit for and blocking roads. There's our teammate also, Carolyn Carter, in front of you.
Yeah, here I was just trying to hold a wheel and feeling okay at this point. And then.
Yeah, you should have moved up a little bit because Carolyn's a good draft and you kind of faded back. And then that, I don't know if it was a Lagrange jersey, but she squeezes in there. And yeah, if you leave the door open, someone's definitely going to take your wheel.
Yeah, and then the second little steep part. I mean, I didn't think I was in any danger until I was. And then I think I'll be getting dropped here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was the theme of the day, basically. I mean, I got dropped at the same point. You're right there, and then, it ramps up a little bit to where it gets a little steeper. And if you're not ready for that surge or to just stop the separation from happening, that's where you're going to get dropped. And happened to me as well. You're a lot stronger than I am there, so you were able to recover. But for me, once that gap opened, it was lights out.
Yeah, my memory has me being dropped much sooner, but I actually am holding on.
No, you
pretty
hold on
good
pretty
here.
good. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that big of a deal. I think maybe just a little. It's hard to tell because the climb is fairly long. It's drawn out. It doesn't seem like it's that steep. I don't think it's. I think it's honestly more than 2% here. It's kind of like a false flat, but
It's at
it's not
least
real
3.
steep. It goes up to 4 or 5, maybe even 6% at the very end. But yeah, it's kind of false flat. It's probably closer to 3.5% here, and then at the end it kicks up a little bit more. But I think you're doing a good job here. It's just that little extra that you needed to put in right before the top of the climb.
Yeah, it's so hard to evaluate. I've gone back over in my mind several times on this lap and the next lap of just give that effort at the time that you need to give the effort. But who knows, maybe you can't, or maybe then things are different. So there's Melly, one of our kind of training partners and neighbors.
Yeah, Melly did a good job too, and the same thing happened to her. Once it got really steep, she kind of fell back a little bit, and you can see here it's up to 4%. Your heart rate's up to 170. And yeah, right here I think is where you just need to put the little surge in. You see there's a little surge to the left there, and you're just a little slow reacting to it. But you are putting in some big watts here, so you know that might be all you have. And
Yeah,
see, you put in a surge there. I saw in your shadow you were standing, but the gap was already open, and I think you just probably should have put in the surge before the gap opened, not after there's a 10-yard gap.
yeah, and I'm definitely gassed right here. Um, yeah, it's just crazy how that little bit of space opens up. So then I see Sam here, and we're going to work together pretty good to catch back up.
Yeah, and I have to say, you guys use great communication. I'll try to have the sound to where you can hear it on the video. It's a little difficult here unless I adjust it on the spot. But you guys do great communication, and you're going to suggest 30 seconds pulls to Sam. She's, of course, on board with it. And you guys are going to do an awesome little two-man team here and actually run the group back down.
Yeah, I see. I had to get water there first, and then I actually had to put a little effort to even catch Sam. Just
Yeah.
this little thing. So then, we do, I think, 30 or 45-second pulls, and I knew we were going to reel them in because we were just making up ground on them.
Yeah. And just making a point about that water bottle, I know Ellen kind of laughed about it, but it's actually something you really should time better because I'm a little spoiler alert, but on the second lap, taking a drink of bottle actually adds to her getting dropped. She's right on the wheel of the group again, just about to lose touch, and she reaches down for a bottle, the group surges, and she gets dropped. And it may seem like a small deal of when you drink water or when you reach for a bottle or take a goo, but it's not. When you're hanging on to the back of a group, it is not time to get a water or a goo or anything else. It's simply time to concentrate and hold that wheel.
Well, true. So here we're working together, and it's just amazing how much the draft will do to you. That break in the back is such a difference.
And you guys are doing a great job once again, not letting egos get involved or anything else. You're not trying to drop each other. You're tag teaming it and making up a lot of ground on the peloton. This is honestly a beautiful job of two people working together, not on the same team. It's just, hey, you want to work together, get back on the group. You guys both agree to 30-second pulls, and you start working.
Yeah, I got to give a lot of credit to Sam. She gets back in there, and then she's in the main peloton to finish the race. So a lot of credit to her. Definitely a lot of fitness and strength. I think she's gotten a lot stronger throughout the year, and it's her birthday this day, so she
Yeah, it's a motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a nice little birthday showing, which, you know,
Yeah, you see Sam flicked an elbow there. You take over the pool. You guys are doing some good pulls too. I don't know what Sam's power is, or if she even has a power meter. Of course, I know yours. And these are some good threshold, basically from sweet spot to bottom end of your VO2 pulls here.
yeah, I didn't look at how. Did you notice what my watts were when I was drafting?
Yeah. Oh, and drafting, no. I think you're in the 100s when you're drafting. But on your pulls, you've been about 200 to about 235, 240.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good range. It's a range that you can sustain for a long time, and you're not going to completely blow up doing it. Obviously, if you do 240 for a really long time, it's probably going to only be, 10 minutes or so. But when you're taking turns like this, it's basically one of the reasons you do training like 30 by 30s, things like that. That's exactly what they're kind of doing here is a 30 by 30 session. 30-second pull, 30-second rest, 30-second pull.
It was really satisfying to kind of see the peloton getting larger and larger as we were going. So I was thinking here when we caught back up that I was going to have a little bit different strategy going into the next climb. I was going to try to get to the front and sag climb. So I was already thinking about that here as we're catching up. So I had every confidence we were going to pull them back.
Yeah, one indication is the truck there, because the truck stays with the group, and I believe in theory if there's a breakaway it stays with third place. So everyone further back than third place, they kind of don't get the support truck. But so if the truck's in view, that means you're catching the group and you're right back on them basically. And Sam does an extra long pull here, which I understand why, because once the group is like right at your fingertips basically, you kind of don't want to give up that pull. But honestly, the person behind you would surge the group forward, and you guys would have caught probably just a little sooner if you come through and do your pull. But I think Sam just saw the group so close and didn't want to take a chance of losing it.
Yeah, here I was telling her we can go inside and a lot of times, even in the races that I watched prior, a lot of times people stayed in the center line, but you can kind of cut that corner inside. Yeah. So
yeah, it makes up about a second too. If everybody's going wide and you're going inside, you're gonna make up some time there. So here you guys are. This is lap number 1. You're coming back to the starting line, and here's honestly, I think you guys should still be single file here. Just gonna save one of you some energy getting back on the group.
Mm-hmm.
It never makes sense really for 2 people to use energy at the same time. You're going the same direction, going the same place. Go ahead and take advantage of that draft.
Yeah, it seemed to have slowed down, the pace slowed down, significantly here and going into this section. So I was actually able to recover really well, or at least I thought I had recovered really well.
Well, you did for the most part, going from close to 180 down to 165. I mean, that's just race pace. Like, you're never going to be really low as far as like heart rate and stuff like that. You're always going to be somewhat near threshold.
So do you have any advice of if you wanted to be maybe on the other side of the peloton? Because there I stayed outside, but then I'm not set up for going outside into this next corner.
So for me, you got to think about what series of, you're always thinking about what's next. So when you take a turn, it's not only setting up for that turn, it's for the next turn as well. So with this inside, how beat up this inside is, this infield, where Carolyn was on the outside or towards the yellow line, I think was the best line through here, only because it is so bumpy and so many holes on the inside. You don't want to be going 20 plus 30 miles per hour, something like that, and have to make a sharp turn at a steep lean angle while going over bumps and potholes and all that loose gravel that was in there. That's a recipe for disaster there. So I would have carried speed a little bit on the outside, kind of like Carolyn was. Just through that infield, I'd be more closer to the double yellow.
Well, the rest of the race I get to just kind of navigate it by myself because I'm not with anyone else for the most part. So this was A little spoiler alert to be the last lap with the main group.
Yeah, and here I think you're probably doing a little too much work here. Like, knowing that there's almost a 1 mile downhill, if I were you, I would have waited till the downhill to move up. Only because you have to use power here to move up to the front. And being that from the first lap, you knew that these girls were climbing at a pretty good pace, I'd save my energy for that climb. So I would have, being that you're a little bit larger, I would have tried to move up on the downhill and not use all these watts you're using here. I mean, 300 watts is a lot of watts.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I definitely, my strategy was to get up to the front, be in the front for the downhill, because I know I'm a little bit heavier, and then try to get as much momentum for the hill as possible. And I really had every confidence that I could kind of sag climb and stay with the group.
Yeah, I think the only issue is, one, using the energy that you're using now and on the front. Even here, if you're going to be behind the Lagrange rider, you got to jump in her draft, not kind of just drift behind her a little bit. And then, of course, when you're on the front here, it's a lot of watts again. I mean, there is a little bit of wind, even though it's different than it was on Saturday. There's still wind. I mean, Victorville is just a windy area to begin with, so you're still having a decent amount of wind out here, and 200 watts is not easy. It's not the end of the world for you, but it's not easy. You can be saving some energy right now behind people.
Yeah.
And also, just with your sag climb, for those of you that don't know what sag climbing is, it's basically, if you're a slower climber, you want to go to the front instead of the back. And what you do is you head up the climb first. You already know that the faster climbers are going to pass you, but what you try to do is time it to where when they pass you, you're still with the group by the time you reach the top of the climb. And that's just how you save a little energy and protect against getting dropped. What a lot of people do that can't climb is they get afraid of the climb and they kind of sit towards the back, but the people in front of them are going to climb faster, and then you're more likely to get dropped. If you go out in front, let them catch you, they're going to pass you, and hopefully you can hang on to the tail end of the peloton by the time you reach the top of the climb.
Good plan.
Definitely is. I mean, as a spectator, when I was watching you and I saw you and Sam were working back onto the group, I knew you had got separated at the climb, and I was thinking the same thing. Go to the front on the next climb, and hopefully you'll still be in the peloton when you come around again.
Yep, that was the plan. So here I still am doing, it looks like, a lot of watts. I did not realize that I was doing near this many watts because it felt pretty easy. I think here I start to tuck.
Well, no matter how many watts you're doing, it always feels easy going downhill, for the most part. But I think now that Celine takes the front, I think you can jump on her wheel and save some watts here.
And that's what I did. So Celine was out there, and I, for the most part, just stayed in her draft. And
yeah, you're kind of drifting a lot. I mean, I'd stay in her
that
draft a little more, but I know what you mean. Like, you gotta let the air hit you so you don't have to use your brakes.
Yes. So, and that's what I was able to pretty much do, just go back and forth in and out of her draft. It's just amazing what the draft can do. I think it's been said a few times, but
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are doing almost 30, so, and you're not really pedaling much, so this, you're saving a lot of energy here. You could have saved a little more, obviously, that we went over, but yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing or your plan. I think this is a definitely good job. It's a good job of being aware and thinking about what your strategy is during the race. And, unfortunately, sometimes people are just faster at different parts of the course or whatever, and you got to do what you can to hang on.
Yep.
So I think Feline is one of the people that went straight on lap number 1, and she's gonna go straight again on lap number 2. So and I think talking to her after the race, I remember she said that she thought she was supposed to go beyond the car, which I think there was some officials there, but they didn't say anything,
And I was telling her, not like she has to listen to me or anything, but I was saying stay wide, because then we can get a good thing for the
Well,
a good turn.
yeah, not to mention when you're doing 25, 30 miles per hour and you have all that wind out there, she probably can't hear what you're saying anyway. You know?
True.
So I think that's when you're talking to her right here. She's kind of looking around, but she's like, no, I'm going to go straight. And, you know, to her credit, she turns around and catches everybody anyway. You know, she probably puts in a little effort there. But, yeah, she turns around and catches everyone.
Yeah, I was shocked at how fast she came back and was passing me.
Yeah, and you could have done a little better there on the turn only because two people, like, completely got a 10-yard gap on you on the turn and you went through it first. So basically you ran wide and they came underneath you. You guys are climbing pretty fast though.
Yeah, I just was trying to climb here and spin without using too much power, but I see I'm doing a pretty significant amount of power.
Yeah, I think you're also maybe you have your cadence slightly too high. I don't know if you need to be at 111. So
What? 111?
yeah, I don't think you need to be at 111 for, you know, for the amount of work you're doing, and that's going to elevate your heart pretty well here. When you're at 111, stuff like that, I mean, unless, which I know you, so I know you don't climb that way. That's more of like your sprint. And yeah, so if you're in a little bit heavier gear, that just suits you a little bit better, I think.
I'm also a little bit in between kind of decision making. I don't know if I should get over because there was kind of two lanes, so I think I just lacked a little bit of decisiveness in the moment, and so I lost the wheel on the right but didn't get over enough to a wheel on the left, and here I'm just losing touch. And I am thinking, should I put in a hard effort right now?
Well, see, right now you're catching them, and I think if you look at your shadow, this is where you make the mistake, and you're going to grab a water bottle in a second, which it drops you basically, because right here you have a chance to catch them. You can be on their wheel right here, and right here is where it happens. You get that water, and look at the croup. They start to inch away just a little bit, and pretty much now it's over. No need for the drink of water there.
I think I needed it. I was
I know
parched.
you had cotton mouth right there.
I was
but...
dying. I was pretty sure I'm in the desert needing water.
Mm-hmm. And then see, you stood up and took a little dig there, and I think taking that dig before the drink to make sure you stay on the wheel would have benefited you a little bit better.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So basically, at this point, what's going on now?
Well, I'm thinking maybe I can just still catch because I did I was able to catch with Sam, so I was thinking if I just put in a good kind of threshold effort, but I was suffering right here. I was thinking that the group slows down in the infield quite a bit, so maybe I can catch. So that's my thought process right now.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I mean, two people, yeah, you're going to catch, but trying to hold threshold and go faster than the group the entire way, yeah, that's not a good recipe. If you wanted to hold something, you should have held that water bottle and sprinted and caught onto that wheel. That's when the time was to put in that effort.
So here is fast forwarding to the
basically
end of my race, basically.
Yes, exactly.
So I was able to catch one or two people, was able to work with Summer for a good, maybe a lap. And, I had some people in my sights that I was trying to reel down about that last lap, just because I know my sustained effort is pretty good, and I was thinking some people would get tired with such a long race, close to 2-hour race.
Yeah, and I have to say, catching when you caught up to Summer, that was a great effort, because I remember when you came by, Summerhead came by, and I remember telling you she's 20 or 30 seconds in front of you, and I saw that you put in like a harder effort, and by the next lap, you guys came by working together. So I mean, unfortunately, we don't have it on tape, that effort, or on video. Sorry, I'm showing my age, but we don't have it on video. But yeah, that's something that you have better than me and better than most people but I know is when you're out here riding solo, there's no quit in you, and when there's a carrot out there, you go get it. You know, I end up sometimes riding too safe, and yeah, at the moment I don't have those skills. I'm either in it or I'm out of it, and you kind of bounce back and forth, and that's a great skill to have.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a few people say that when they get dropped, they just have no motivation to kind of work hard in a situation like this. It may be delusional, it may be the heat or, you know, lack of water. I don't know, but I just still feel I can catch somebody. I can catch the group, and I know it's unrealistic because I got dropped for a reason. Couldn't stick with them, so chances are they're, you know, either stronger, faster, whatever. But I have the willpower to try to reel them in still.
Yeah, I mean, and you did. You know, you guys got to work together for a little while, and you know, just basically, unfortunately, I don't know why they did this, but they cut you guys' race short, and there was like no danger. The field was spread out. You guys only have one lap to go, and they only let the first few people finish. The first, I don't know, 8 or so, 7, and everyone else they pulled off the course, and it just kind of didn't make sense to me. You guys weren't that far behind to begin with, and I don't know why they pulled all the women off the course.
No, I was definitely disappointed.
Well, and you had a chance. There were the two Lagrange teammates. I think it was Lizzie and her teammate.
Martina?
Yeah, I think Lizzie and Martina were a little in front of you. They were maybe like 30, 40 seconds in front of you, and it looked like you were making up ground on them. I think they were just kind of cruising, working together, and you had a chance to maybe catch up with them.
Yeah, they did say they were in cruise mode, but they had a plan to put in a hard last effort also. So,
I have one more.
yeah,
I'm done. One more.
Yeah, I don't
Done.
think you were sure. You're like, one more? No? One more?
Trying to convince them. And I said, let me follow directions and get off the course.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. It's a wrap.